Welcome to the Good Days Academy podcast. I'm Maria, a virtual assistant, project manager, and social media manager, here to help you launch and scale that VA business you've been dreaming to have. If you're ready for expert advice on virtual assistant services, marketing, productivity, and work-life balance, you are in the right place. Let's create brighter days together, one episode at a time. Hi, everyone. Hi, Jen.
Hello. So glad to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. And today's episode, in my mind, I want to make it all about burnout.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned before, Jen is actually my first client, retainer client. She's very special. And every time we try to have like a professional meeting to talk about social media and podcasts, we end up talking about tarot and
Deep shit.
yes,
Life
exactly.
purpose. Where are we
Yes,
going?
everything but social media. No, I'm kidding. We talk about social media, but we love the chisme,
Yeah,
That's
we
what we
do.
love. How
Mm-hmm.
are you, girl?
I'm good. This is so fun to be on this side of the podcast, like as an interviewee. And I mean, you also edit my podcast. So
Yes.
are you sick of my voice?
Never, never. And you know what's funny? So a few days ago, I was recording a solo episode. And I was saying like, hola, hola, amigas, welcome back to, instead of saying the Good Days Academy podcast, I said the How We
How we
Get
get
Through
through?
podcast. And I was like, no, this is wrong
Wait,
podcast. This is not.
yes.
Because I've been doing that. I think I've edited about 30 episodes of your podcast now, maybe a little bit more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And I memorized your intro
Mm-hmm.
and outros. So yeah,
Yeah.
I have to make sure I don't say it for Good Days.
Yeah. It's
I hate that.
subconsciously entering into your mind. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which is it's really good anyways, because I told you that every single episode that Jens records, I feel like it's speaking directly to me.
Yeah, like I do. I mean, I think that's the hope for the podcast is like you get some sort of healing or aha moment. Um, and I mean, you're forced to a
Yeah.
little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
again, it's like you take what works and you leave what doesn't. And that's healing, baby.
Yeah. And as you said that, I had like this huge ray of sunshine coming through my window.
Yes. We also love synchronicities and astrology and spirit and spirituality. Yeah.
So let's talk about burnout, because I feel like I'm going through burnout all the time. But to be honest, I don't know what to do about it. And it's like, I know that I'm going through it and I know that I should do something about it. But at the same time, I don't know what and how. So let's start by just like introducing yourself to everyone. So, who is Jen? What you do? How we get through? And then we can dive into burnout.
Perfect. I'm Jen Hershey. I am not related to the Hershey Company because then I would be on a private jet helping some country get some water. But instead, I'm healing on a little bit of a different level. So I'm a licensed therapist in California. And I also do coaching outside of California. And last year, I launched a therapy app called How We Get Through, which features 30-minute courses from therapists all over. And then also with that, I launched the podcast, How We Get Through. And the podcast has been the most like healing for me. I've interviewed people I've worked with and other healers outside of the therapy room because there's no straight shot into healing. And I think we're all gifted in some way, even if we have the same gifts or like specialize in the same things. When you start to talking to people, they're like, they just have a different experience that they can bring. Or a lot of times I have clients that, I tell them one thing and then they're like, oh, I saw this TikTok. And I'm like, girl, I told you that 2 months ago, right? But it's that like we need to hear it multiple times and in different ways. So, yeah, so it's been a wild ride, but I know burnout well as an entrepreneur as well. So,
Which is why I want to talk about it, because I feel, especially when you are doing multiple things at the same time. So in your case, Jen is a mom, which is like
mhm.
a huge job by its own. And you're also an entrepreneur, a therapist. being a therapist specifically, I feel like it's such an important job because you have to hold space for so many people all the time, all day long. And then you have your own life and you have your own needs. So I'm not saying it's the same, but I feel like it's very similar to being a virtual assistant or a social media manager because you have to be that person for your clients. So you have to be, held accountable and you have to make sure that you're giving them the support that they need. And it is exhausting in a way that it's like, okay, I need to be able to feel tired and who is holding me, when I'm holding all of my clients, which is a beautiful thing to do. I love that. But I do want to talk about it more because I feel like in this whole like entrepreneurial journey, we never talk about what to do when this happens. And on the contrary, it's like, okay, if you're tired, it's because you have to keep pushing
Yes. Yeah.
because, at some point you're going to be able to, this is just like the sacrifice. And then at some point you're going to be able to just enjoy life. But no.
Mhm. Yeah, I think we almost have it backwards, right? Like, we're here to hustle to enjoy life, yet we're missing life. We're
Yes.
missing the enjoyment. And it's really hard as an entrepreneur because it is on you. Like, there are times where you do need to hustle, but it almost, I mean, I think entrepreneurship for me anyway has shown me how much I need to take care of myself more than how much I need to pursue my goals.
Yes, girl. Yes. And I feel like it's connected because it's like, okay, if you want to pursue your goals, you need to take care of yourself because otherwise you're not going to be able to do it. Either because you're going to get sick or, because you just not going to do it because you're going to get very unmotivated about it.
Mhm. And I mean, my body, and I know your body too, is always, and this won't be for everybody, right? But is always the like first line of defense in some way. It's always like when
Mm-hmm.
your back goes out, you're like, fuck,
Fuck. Yeah.
I
That's when I
fucking
know.
went too hard, right?
Yes.
And so it's learning to kind of pay attention to your body as that's happening before it gets to, I can't even get off the couch, right? But it's a mind shift set. It's a shift of the mindset because we're so goal oriented and we're like girl bossing so hard that we're missing there's a lot of motivation in that. There's a lot of fun in that, but it's so one-sided. It's just one part of us. And so when you don't really like feed this emotional or spiritual side, it just becomes really unbalanced and you find yourself in the cycle of burnout.
Yep.
You're like,
Yep.
"I'm not gonna do that again. Let me take." It's a forced rest, and then you throw yourself back in there because the mindset is, "I have to keep going," or "I have to
Yes.
do it at this speed," or "I have to blah, 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 blah." We don't have to do shit. That is everything we put on ourselves.
I'm so sick of this concept of girl bossing. I'm tired of it. I don't want to be a fucking girl boss. Like, yes, I want to have my company and like good days and I love it, but no, I also want to just like chill the fuck down sometimes and do nothing. And I
Right.
don't know.
So sometimes we have to actually, because that could still be a subconscious belief. I have to girl boss. If I don't girl boss, what am I doing with my life? Where am I going? Right. So we can consciously be like, oh, yeah, I don't want that life. But are we actually subconsciously believing in that? Because what is the opposite of that? Or what is, if we're not doing that, what is it? And is
Yeah.
that scary?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I really love when you mentioned um yeah, and I mean, yes, we're not all the same, but I feel like a lot of people is the same way too that they start feeling things in their body when they're tired. So I would love for you to explain a bit more about that because I feel like those are the early signs
Yes.
most
Yeah.
of the times.
Mhm. Our bodies are always talking to us. If you think about, like, hunger, right? Hunger cues. It's saying, "Hey, we need fuel," or, "Hey, we're really full," or, "Hey, we have to go to the bathroom," right? Headaches, hot, cold, goosebumps, like, our bodies are crazy, crazy communication machines to us. And a lot of times, especially as women, we kind of disconnect from that because our bodies aren't safe to connect, or this is even like sexuality, sensuality. I mean, it runs the gamut here. But we're told to not really be in our bodies, and when we're girl bossing, we're in our heads, we're in our minds. We are in our anxious thoughts. We are in, what is the future, right? We're always looking ahead and we're not being really present. And our body is the first thing to like help us be present. Unfortunately, right? All of a sudden you feel the like tinge in your back or your back's a little bit sore and you're like, "Ah, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Let me just finish this thing. Let me look at my week. I can't be sick right now or I can't have this
Yes.
happen right now. I have too many things going on." And your body is literally like, "You need to stop
Oh
and
my
you need to
god.
rest." And we don't listen to that all the time.
Which is insane.
It is because there's a bigger belief or we're holding on to something else that's more important. We will
Yes.
value timelines. We will value work. We will value how that makes us feel, really. Like, I feel good when I'm accomplishing. I feel good when I'm like hustling for clients. I feel good when I'm marking off my to do list. And that's not bad, right? It's just so imbalanced. And that's when the body really comes in at play and it's like, hey, girl, like, you better listen up because no doctor is gonna fix this right away, you know? Not to say don't go see your doctor, but there's so much more than just the physical part. Our bodies store emotions in that.
Girl, but now that you said that, you reminded me of so I was listening to these other podcasts that it's from a girl in Colombia. So in case a Colombian is listening to me, the podcast is called Vos Podés, which means like you can do it, basically. So the podcast is so good because it's about experiences from like very non artists and people in Colombia, as well as like any other women, Colombian women, right? So it's like very inspirational. And these woman went to the podcast as a guest, and she was telling people how stress make her blind.
Shit.
And I was like, what the fuck? So that was the reason why I listened to the podcast. Because I was like, when I read the title, I was like,
Yeah.
excuse me?
Mhm.
So she went through the whole story. It's very sad, actually, like inspirational for, how she said the story and everything, but I actually cried. I was like, fuck, why are we like this with our own bodies and we're ourselves?
Mhm.
So she said how for years her body was like giving her cues and like feeling pain here and feeling pain there. So it was like something in her nervous system. And, she ended up like being really, really sick. And the nerves in her eyes just like were like super, how do you say, like inflamed? No.
Yeah.
Uh
Inflamed?
inflamed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she went blind. So doctors were like, we can actually explain why this happened to you, but like I don't the doctor actually said that I don't have like the scientific background to tell you that this was stress, but girl, I think this was stress.
Yeah.
Why do we have to be so hard on ourselves that when we actually feel pain, we're just like, no, I'm just, in my case, for example, that my back starts giving me the cues. And it doesn't start like horrible right away. It gives me cues. And still I'm like, no, I'm just gonna stay here sitting, like punishing myself, finishing this because yeah, sure, this is more important.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
It's terrifying. Like, what is it that it has to happen to us for us to be like, okay, I'm gonna slow down and I'm gonna listen to my body? We have to
Yeah.
go blind?
Right. I mean, I just think we're so disconnected from the natural rhythms of body, of seasons, of nature, you know, in that way. And if you think about like girl bossing, we're trying to fit in the patriarchal, male dominated industry, which is to just be in action all the time. Right. And not to say that men don't get burnout because they do as well,
Yeah.
but it's just that we have to kind of put on this ultimate energy to like keep going. And part of like the feminine energy is really taking care, is nurturing, is receiving, right? So when we think about those cues, is like, oh, how can I receive these cues and then nurture whatever body part needs that? Like, is it a change in position? Is it like an ice pack? Is it a heating pack? Like, it can be really small. Is it a cup of tea? Is it taking like a 5-minute break. Like, it doesn't have to be, I have to go to the chiropractor today for 20 hours, right? I mean, you shouldn't
Yeah.
do that, but, like, it doesn't have to be extreme, and that's what's crazy because the pattern and the cycle is extreme. All of a sudden, I'm fucked. All of a sudden, my back is out and I can't walk for days, right? All of a sudden, blah, 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 blah. And it actually doesn't happen that way, but we experience it that way because we're not as connected as we used to be. So it does take time to slowly, like, excuse me, reconnect in our bodies and in our natural rhythm. I mean, you think about like cycle syncing is like a huge thing right now. It's the same thing, which
Yes.
I don't know a lot about, so don't ask me.
I don't know. I just know that it is true. It always
Yes.
happens with all the women that I get to know
Yeah.
and start talking about it. It always
Mhm.
happens.
Right. So if you think about like, you're not super motivated during one phase or have a lot of energy, how do you honor that? How do you
Yeah.
create time in your schedule of like, yes, like I'm a mom, like I get it. We still have things to do. Like the world's not going to stop for us. But it's almost this mindset that we feel like that we can't stop. That really puts us in a bad place. And that's where the stress comes from. I want a break, but I can't have a break. That is a stressful mindset, and it's untrue.
Girl, that's me.
I knew.
Honestly, I'm all the time,
Mhm.
especially because I'm still working my 9 to 5. So
Mhm.
I try to have like a very structured day. So in my mind, when I pretty much every single day wake up super early to get some things done before I start my 9 to 5. So in my mind, I'm like, I have to do this because I'm not going to have more time later today. So that just like gets me in this cycle, but it's like super stressful. And
Yeah.
what I started doing was like, okay, I don't have another option right now because I have my 9 to 5. But now what I do is like I don't make my mornings all about work. So
Beautiful.
I don't allow myself to even like look at my phone the first hour that I wake up.
That's
And
huge.
yeah, I'm like I'm not gonna look at it, and I'm just like do a 5-minute meditation and then like a 10-minute yoga routine, something that's
Mhm.
like gentle to my sciatic nerve.
Yes.
Because my back hurts. Good. But yes, I try to do that. Just like stretch. Cause also I don't
Yeah.
wanna fucking think about working out at
No.
freaking 5 a.m. in the morning. What the
Fuck no.
fuck?
No.
No. I
Mm-mm.
wanna move my body, but I don't wanna be fucking
We don't need the
lifting weight.
cortisol that high. No.
No, I don't need
Yeah.
any of that, and I don't want to, and I'm like for some time, I was, like, pushing myself to do that too, and I
Mm.
feel like that's wrong. You have to do whatever feels right for you to do at the moment.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's just like, okay, I don't wanna think about work. I know that I have to do some stuff done before I start working, but that's I'm not allowing work to be the first thing that I have
Yeah.
to think about and I have to stress about
I love
right in
that.
the yes. So, what would be like some tips that you can give people to like be self-aware
Mhm.
and and to learn to listen to their bodies? Because I feel like we don't even know how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like so simple once you start doing it, but we're so distracted that that's really where the hurdle is like I can be on my phone and I can be doing this or I'm like listening to watching a show while on my phone. Like it's just we're so inundated. So really to be like intentional about it is the hardest part, but seeing if you can go outside for 5 minutes and leave your phone inside, right?
Mhm.
See if you can feel the sun or feel the wind or whatever temperature it is, like anything to connect with your body. It also doesn't have to be an ache and pain. It could be something pleasurable or it could be something neutral. This could be like eating chocolate and
Ooh.
they have these really good, yes,
Yes.
which Trader Joe's, I don't think you have in Canada. Do you?
Which ones?
Trader Joe's? No, you don't.
I don't know. They sound familiar, but I don't
You would
know
know.
those.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think you have it.
Okay. Then
But
I don't think
they
so.
have, like, chocolate-covered graham crackers with sea salt on them, and they are so good, I put them in the freezer, but it's like, I'm, like, tasting the chocolate sweet, and then the salty comes, and it's like, that's you're being mindful, and when you're mindful, you're being present, and when you're present in that moment, you cannot think about the future, which causes anxiety. All anxiety is from the space now until the future. So when we talk about stress and anxiety, it's like, oh, I have this to-do list. I have to da 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 da. And so if we want to stop the anxiety, we come back to the present moment. And that
Yeah,
could be through your body, through heat, through cold, through any sensation, through like even like light scratches or cold water. I mean, that's why you see a lot, like nervous system is huge right now, which is great. Like people doing like ice baths on their face if they're having a panic attack because it shocks the nervous system, right? It's like getting you out of that fight, flight, or freeze state and into a more regulated state. I mean, you can do that. That'll definitely make you present, but it could be like drinking something cold and feeling it going down your throat. So it doesn't have to be extreme things, but really it's like, and I loved your routine because I don't think we if you love structure, like if you love fucking planning out your day, date it, like do it. Do
yeah,
it. And if you're not, then you're not, right? But see if you can have a little bit more intentional time of just checking in with your body.
intentional time. I love that.
Yeah. Which
Mhm.
is fucking hard because
Yeah.
everything is fighting for our attention.
Yes.
So there's nothing wrong with you if it's difficult because it doesn't exist in our world freely.
And I feel like society makes us feel bad when
Mhm.
we try not to do anything or
Yes.
just rest because it's like you're wasting time. You're
Mhm.
being lazy. You're not
Mhm.
doing enough.
Yeah, and then are we living? Like, did we come here to be fucking busy all the time? Or did we come here to, like, have fun, have sex, cry, scream, read a good book, eat, drink, celebrate, have fun? I mean, experience all the emotions, right? So again, it just feels like another trap. And I would ask yourself, like, what is so wrong with rest? Why am I at war with rest? Why is productivity valued more? And when you are at rest, that's actually where you're most in tune with yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you
Yeah.
are a very fucking intuitive person.
Am I?
So, yes. Yes, and you trust yourself on a very good, like, spiritual level as well. So, for you especially, I think, like, you might be doing yourself a disservice if there isn't rest for you. If there and that could be meditation, yes, rest, or it could be like, my brain is, like, so fried, I can't even think about anything.
Yeah.
So, I'm not. Like,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen when you rest? Who's gonna come knocking at your door? Nobody.
Nobody.
No one
Which
cares.
actually, I think that's like the phase in which I am at currently.
Mhm.
Because my back is okay. And I feel like I'm trying to give myself rest when I feel like I need it. But I feel like my mind feels so foggy. So remember that I told you I messaged you yesterday because also, Jen is not only my client. Like we talk
We're
not all the
connected.
time, but yeah,
Yeah.
we're exactly. I feel like this is like a different type of client, like a different relationship for sure. And I messaged you last week and I was like, I feel like I can't think. I'm just like foggy and super unmotivated, even though I wanted to do things, but I can't. I'm, freezing.
Mhm.
And you told me just go for a walk, just feel the sun. And that was so important to me.
Mhm.
Just like reading Feel the Sun. I was like, should I just go for a walk? And honestly, I sat as a crazy person in the park for like 15 minutes and I just stared
I
at the
love it.
trees. That was all I did.
Yes. Well, it's so interesting too when you say freeze, it's like the opposite is like melting in the sun. And isn't that
Oh
beautiful?
my God, yes.
Right? So it doesn't always have
What?
to be in our body, but it again, you had the awareness of my mind won't work the way I want it to work. And then I'm mad at it, or I
Yes.
feel shame about it, or I don't
Mhm.
feel productive, or whatever the narrative is, right? And so part of like really learning to nurture and love ourselves is taking care of like, oh, sweet girl, you're so foggy today. What do you need?
Yeah.
How do I work with her? How do I take care of her versus like bullying her into being productive?
bullying her. We're such a bullies with ourselves. That's so sad. You know what? I feel like lately I've been craving a lot of like connection, not necessarily with other people, just like with myself. I've
Mhm.
been craving a lot of like just like having fun because I remember that I told you that too.
Yes.
Like I feel like I want an adventure. I feel like I've been acting like an adult for way too long and I'm just bored of this. Just want to have
Yes.
fun. And something that I realized that I noticed this morning when I was doing my meditation was that usually you are like sitting with your hands
Mhm.
in your legs. But then I noticed that I don't know, at one point, my hands were like, I was like doing this to myself, like
Scratching your arm, your hand,
scratching my hands and my
like
arms.
gently.
But yeah, like, yes. And I was like, I didn't even realize that I was doing that when I was meditating.
Mm.
And it's just like this thing of like feeling things.
Mhm.
I'm craving that. Like, I don't know.
No, I love that because those again are cues, right? Like it's almost your higher self is like, girl, Maria, remember we didn't come here to just fucking work. Like we come here to have a blast. Okay.
Remember?
So remember, like, so, and you are fun. And when you follow your fun and you follow your heart, I mean, that's your whole brand. Like your whole brand is like happy and fun and light. And so why aren't you matching that lifestyle? Right? Or noticing when you start to like not you're being it's just a little bit out of balance. You're like, "What the fuck? Like this was supposed to be fun."
Yes, yes. And it is how it feels. It's like it's out of balance for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel like I've been taking, and this is probably also just like advice
Mhm.
for all the girls who want to start a virtual assistant business, is that I feel like we start taking way too much that we can
Mhm.
actually take at certain period, moments in our lives.
Like over-promising in some way? Like, "I could do
Yes, and
this,
just
this,
like
this."
saying yes to everything
Yeah.
that life starts throwing at you. And I feel like the lesson that I had this summer was like
Mm.
all these great things can happen to you and you don't have to say yes to all of them. And it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you're not going to get them back or you're not going to get something better. You can say no to things
Mhm.
and still kind of like prioritize what you want to do. Because I started having like new clients and new projects. Amazing that I love them all. But that at the same time, I felt like I kind of lost the purpose that I have for my own business.
Mhm.
And I had to say no to some of those clients last week. I had to be like, hey, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, but I love working with you, but I also want to grow my own business and my own brand.
Right. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I went to, Esther Hicks. She's like a I don't know, she channels whatever, spiritual whatever. But she talks about I mean, just follow me for a second if you're like, "What the fuck?" But she said something that I'll never forget, and she's like, "Your inner being, like your higher self, God, universe, whatever you wanna call it, is literally lining up everything you could ever want, is there for you." And she's like, "I want you to imagine like an airport, like the plane lands and then
Mm,
another plane lands and another plane lands and another plane lands." And it's like when you say no to something, there's always another plane that's gonna land.
girl. Okay, this podcast is over. This is all you needed to know today. Bye.
But our work is in trusting that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trusting. I think that's going to be my 2025 word. Yes.
Trusting what?
Trusting the universe and, trusting whatever each one of us trusts.
Yeah.
I trust my angel and the universe
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
just like trusting. Because also, every time, as you said, if you say no to an opportunity, it's because something else is coming. But
Yes.
there is always something else coming.
Mhm.
Always.
And that's like getting out of the scarcity mindset and more in the abundance mindset. And again, these I just feel like are all fucking buzzwords at this point, but it really is when you believe that something else has your back and your highest good, then you get to like let go freely of things that aren't really resonant with you. Like just
Yeah.
aren't a good fit right now. And this is relationships, this is people, this is things, this is places, this is clients, it's everything in your life. And when you trust that, like, me saying no means that something else is going to come that is most likely better.
Yes. Honestly, I feel like it's always better.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's always better.
it's always better. Okay, what about, do you have like some sort of like a Jen's framework for burnout to reset?
I feel like again, like so let's see if we could do this in like 3 steps. So the first step is awareness with everything. If you ever go to therapy, the first step is always aware. How are you gonna fucking fix something you don't know what the problem is, right? So I think aware of where you aren't connected to your body and aware of maybe some subconscious beliefs around your value and why you're working so hard. I think that more of this is like burnout entrepreneurship. Like, what is working hard giving me? And like, what am I actually wanting from it? Is it making me feel more valuable? Is it making me feel like I'm moving the needle or making a difference in the world? Um, or is it something that is burning me out? Right.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the first part. The second part is to really like be in silence. I'm not joking.
Yes.
Like, try 5 minutes, 5 minutes of silence where you are kind of able to ask yourself, like, "What are you needing in this moment?" Like, is this food? Is it a cup of tea? Is it a walk? Is it silence? Is it nobody talk to me? Is it to talk to someone? Is it that you need a
Yeah.
hug? Like, we don't have to do this alone, right? But a lot of times when we're so clued into other people and our clients, we skip over ourselves and like, I don't know what the fuck I need. I just know my back is hurting and I can't do anything, right?
Yeah.
So it's really starting to pause and ask what you need. And then the third step is go get it. And
Yes.
and that might be the second hardest part is like, how do I ask for help? Or
Mhm.
how do I talk to my clients and say, "Hey, I had something come up this day today, but I can get you that by so and so, whatever date it is." Or I'm asking other people to cover for me, or this is all about communication because and that's what I love about our relationship is that I think we're very boundaried and at the same time really connect with each other. So we're going to be honest when like, "Hey, oh, fuck, I didn't give you that thing. Let me get it for you right now." Or like or I've been so unmotivated and in a deep depression. I can't even, get
Think
this to
about
you
it.
or
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. And, again, it's very boundaried. I don't feel like either of us are just like spilling over into each other because we both trust each other to handle our shit.
Yeah.
We both trust each other that you will be responsible for yourself and I'm just like a guide in that and same way with you. So if you have anybody that feels like they're spilling over, if your clients are spilling over, that is just another need for a boundary of like, I'm here to support you, but I can't support you in this way. Um, yeah.
That's so important. No, just because, oh my God, I feel like that happens so often with clients that, yes. So, as you said, I also love that I can be so honest with Jen. I can just be
Mm,
like, because I'm also a human being.
yeah.
Jen is also a human being. And, on top of that, we're women.
Yeah.
So, hormones are fucking the worst as
Hmm.
well. And some days are just fucking shitty as hell.
Yeah.
And there's nothing we can do but be honest and be like, you know what? I try to get this done. I couldn't, so I'll get it done for you tomorrow. And today I just need to take care of myself.
Yeah.
And that can also happen like client to virtual assistant or social media manager. It's like, I know I need to get this to you, but I can't today, so I'll do it tomorrow.
Hmm.
So communication and being flexible, it's so important. And I feel like those two things are things that are just like people are not open to be you know, communicative and inflexible, especially for the corporate world where
Yeah.
it's like you have to do it when you have to do it. I don't care if you're sick or whatever. So me,
Yeah. Mm.
I feel like if I don't see that in a client, I'm like, okay, maybe I don't want to work with you.
I think when we allow ourselves to be honest with ourselves, we can then be honest with other people. So that's the thing too. If you try to like entrepreneur this shit and you're like, I'm not gonna meet all my deadlines no matter what, blah, 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 blah. when you're not honest with yourself saying, "I actually don't have time to meet these," or I'm burning out," or "I'm so tired," then you can't communicate to that client, and then you maybe drop a deadline, and the client's like, "What the fuck?" Right? So it
Yeah.
it does come down to being honest and communicating that, and that's all that matters in a relationship,
Yeah.
really, in
Mhm.
any relationship, is communicating where you're at, what you need, and then where you could, like, on the business side, when you'll get it or when they'll receive it.
Yeah.
But, and I think when we first started, I was just like, "Brr," and then I fucking chilled out. I'm like, "Okay." Because though I trust you. I trust you to tell me things. I trust you to get it done. I'm not worried about that. And I think when you start off in a relationship, in any relationship, there's going to be that building that trust phase.
Yes.
So it's even more important to be honest and like say your boundaries and what you need and what's happening, or like being open to kind of work that out with someone.
Yes. But in our case, when we started off like a fast. We started off really fast. I remember that I told you, I was like, "Okay,
Mhm.
I need to slow down a bit because this is like a lot of information at once." And I really liked how Jen helped me get through that as well. And I was like, "Okay, this is perfect. This is actually the type of relationship that I want to have with a client." Because actually, like I've had a client, so one of the clients that I told you guys about that I'm not no longer working with them. One of them, I was having like a hard time a few weeks ago, and I couldn't finish the whole content calendar, but I finished the the first and the second week of the month. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna send you this, approve it, and then I'll be working on the rest of the things
Mhm.
later this week. And she didn't like that. And I'll make
Mm,
a whole episode about this, and I'll even like read
yeah.
the emails.
I got the receipts. Yeah.
The receipts, yeah, but oh my god, the sunshine again. It's never sunny in Toronto, but it is today. Like
How
crazy.
funny.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And basically she was like, "You know what? Yeah." Because I gave her options. I was like, "So we can either continue or not." And she was like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, no, I don't want to continue working with you." And I was like, "Okay. Okay."
Another plane is landing.
Exactly. Yeah. And honestly, I
Yeah.
took it very well because I took it as a sign. I was like, "You're taking way too much.
Yeah.
And this is just not the
Yeah.
moment for you to be this busy. Also, it's fall, and I just wanna be cozy."
Yes, yeah. And you know what is hard because, I mean, I think I've also just changed so much since we started working together, but I do think there's, like, again, that natural rhythm of, like, "Ooh, can I trust this person to do what I'm
Yeah.
asking them to do? What if it doesn't work?" All the things, like, "Do they know me? Do they not? Blah, blah, blah." And and again, I just appreciate, like, uh, now it's like, okay, we're either like giving each other feedback, like, oh, this is a great idea, or like, let's put it here, or we're just like, you know, I think you led the pace very well. And I think that's important for a VA to do is like, I'm going to tell you how this is going to work because a client is coming in with like so many feelings and insecurity and like, I need this to be successful. Right. And so, really having that emotional boundary, like, yeah, girl, I want you to be successful too. And in order for us to be successful, let me show you how this is going to go. And like, really leading your client, I think is helpful. And then you see how they respond to that
Mhm.
and if it's a good fit or not.
Yeah, and then you decide, like, "You know
Yeah.
what? Then you do your crazy thing, girl, because this is not gonna work."
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to rest and
Yes.
recharge for sure,
Mhm.
so we can be good for ourselves and for our clients. And I feel like I'm learning that. Like I need to rest so I can show up for my clients. Not only for me, but I can be the person that I want to be for my clients, and I
Mhm.
can have the business that I want to have for my clients as well.
Mhm. Yeah, and sometimes that's just shifting, like, I want a more balanced life, and
Yeah.
you focus on that versus I want my business to be very successful.
Yes, exactly. Something that I've been thinking a lot lately is I don't I don't want my life to be like I work more than what I
Mhm.
have fun.
Mhm.
That's so sad to think about. Like, I don't wanna be working freaking 10 hours a day and only doing something that I enjoy 1 hour a week.
Yeah. And again, I think when you're starting to, like, get that itch, your a higher self is telling, "We're out of whack. We're out of
Yeah.
balance."
Like, "What the
And
fuck are you doing?" Yeah.
just shift it. And you say, "Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. I'm gonna have more fun today, or I'm gonna take off Friday, or I'm gonna do whatever it is,"
Yeah.
because I get to have fun. I get to have a more balanced life. I get to be more in touch with myself. There's no have here. There's no force here. There's a flow here, and knowing when you need the other side of that. Like, we will always be like, "Okay, I'm fucking bored. Let me grind a little bit," Like,
Mhm.
what's the next thing? Let me dream. Let me smash some goals, whatever it is. And then you just wanna go roller skating on Friday, and that's it.
Exactly. Yes. Or even, like, in the middle of the week, but
Yes.
do it whenever the hell you feel like you need to do it.
Yeah. Especially
Like,
owning your own business, like, it's literally the ultimate freedom,
exactly. Like,
or if you
honestly,
work
right
from
after
home.
this exactly, yeah. Right after this podcast, I'll be like, "I don't wanna do any fucking more work.
Mm-mm,
This is
mm-mm.
what." Yeah,
This is
no.
it.
This is it. This is it what I'm gonna do for today. Well, hopefully.
Well, your
But yeah.
day's almost over, right? Here is
Oh,
it
yeah.
3, 4?
It's almost 4 here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The day's
So,
over.
yeah, it's over. Actually, yes. But something so journaling, it is really helpful
Mhm.
too, and it's something that I've been doing so much lately. Jen also has a course that
Yes. It's
yes,
actually a free course on
it is pretty
burnout.
yes.
Get it today. It's on the How We Get Through app. So if you could download that on Apple or Android, and there's a free course there that you can also get a 7-day trial to see the other 30 courses if you want to sign up. But that the app is just a beautiful, like, labor of love that everyone can get healing in whenever they need it. All in one place and at your
And
own
then your
pace.
pace. Yeah, exactly. So definitely you have to check it out. I'll also put it in the show notes so you download
Mhm.
it because it's free. You don't even have
Yes.
to pay for it. What
Right.
the hell?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, Jen, for those who are probably going through really bad episodes or maybe not that bad, but just like an episode of burnout, what would you say to them right now?
I just would, like, encourage you to listen, like, pause and listen, and, like, really tune into what your body and your mind is telling you. And if you, like, sit there long enough, like, and you might start to cry, like, let things release, because we're just so tired. We're so
Yeah.
tired, and we think that we have to keep going, and that's, like, so untrue and not why we're here. And that burnout can be easily that's not I don't wanna say easily, but it can be kind of reversed in some way, like, you don't have to keep living it. But burnout is, again, a sign that things need to slow down, and you
Yeah.
need to there can be a moment of loving yourself in that and nurturing yourself.
I really hope that every single virtual assistant in the world gets a client like Jen.
Oh, same, same. I'm always like, I, like, don't want people to hire you, but I do want people to hire you. But
Why are
really,
you all getting her so busy? Stop it.
I know, but they're like, "You have a virtual s" I was like, "Absolutely." Like, you have a beautiful blend of, like, really being so responsible and then creating really beautiful things. And honestly, from what I have experienced, it's either one or the other. So,
Yeah.
it's you're the fucking bomb, girl. We're always like, we're always gonna be working together, right? Like, at some point.
Yes. We already had this conversation, actually. We
Yeah.
already had this conversation. It's like, no,
Mhm.
we're not. This is forever.
Yeah. Yes.
We
Yes.
even we even said that maybe we knew each other in another life, something
Right.
happened there. It was like because it was like an instant connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It was. And I think we were at I was desperate to find a social media person coming off, like, a really bad experience, and I, like, randomly Instagrammed you, and I it
yeah.
was just like,
It was so random, yeah. Which is okay, this is gonna be another episode, so all of you girls have to come back because 'cause we're gonna do another episode about how you found me and,
"Oh,
like,
good."
both of our
Yeah.
perspectives, where I was when you found me and why you were looking for a virtual assistant.
Yes, I love that. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yay.
So exactly, if you are still here listening to us, there's gonna be a part 2,
Yes.
and that one is gonna be all 100% tea then.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Jen, thank you so much
Awesome.
for coming to talk to us about all this.
That's the best. I'm so glad we get to keep growing and doing things together.
I
So fun.
know. This is so crazy that we're, like, actually doing a podcast episode together,
Right. Like,
right?
could you imagine last year? We didn't
No,
know what the fuck we
never.
were doing last year.
No. Exactly.
Just like, I think
Never
this
in my
word.
life. But, well, here we are.
Here we are.
Thank you so much. I love you so
Mhm.
much,
Love you.
and we will book the other episode then.
Yes. Stay tuned.
Yes. Ciao.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Good Days Academy podcast. If today's episode gave you the tools you need to grow your virtual assistant business, subscribe, leave a review, and share with others. If you need more resources, visit my Etsy shop for templates and tools, and follow me on Instagram at gooddays_VA for daily tips on entrepreneurship, marketing, and virtual assistants.